Sam Deen. We met yesterday, talked on the phone yesterday.
Yeah.
In less than 24 hours, here you are. Glad to have you.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm a big fan of your show. You've got 5 episodes now. I've seen them all. I watched 4 of them yesterday, and I watched 1 this morning. And they're funny, but they're also relevant, and it's great. Your production is what I called you about. I want to do what you do with my podcast. I want to do the video. I think your video is great. So anyway.
Yeah, and we talked about it offline, and we're going to get you set up. I'm going to come help you. I love your podcast. I want to see the video form of it. I think when you get to that level, like you've got a great story, which is why I have you in here. But we met in the epicenter, really, of I think one of the most entertaining places, for better or worse, in Texas right now, in terms of politics, Zandt County, and so we shared that dialogue and discourse. But let's hear about you for a second. I wore this today in honor of both of us.
Yeah.
I served in the early 90s at Fort Benning as an MP.
Mm-hmm.
Was deployed to Haiti once during Operation Uphold Democracy. I think your career was a little longer and a little more intense than mine, so you want to tell the people what you did?
Yeah, it's really quick. If you don't know me, I'm a Canton guy, graduated from Canton High School. 9/11 happened, the fall before my senior year, or I guess my senior year, yeah. September 11th, 2001 would be my senior year at Canton High School, and we watched it, there in high school. And I just, right then I decided I wanted to go to the Army, and I had been applying to West Point because, we read about that in the history books and stuff, and never thought I could get in. My mom even told me, she goes, "You're not going to get into West Point, so you might as well figure out where you're going to go." So luckily, or for me, to get into West Point, 9/11 happened. They were letting more people in, I believe, and I was a good football player, so Ralph Hall was the congressman. Anyway, I got accepted to West Point out of Canton High School, went there, graduated after 4 years, was commissioned in the infantry as an officer, and went to airborne school, ranger school, reconnaissance school, and I was a reconnaissance platoon leader in Afghanistan. I don't know if you've seen northeastern Afghanistan, the Kunar province, Korengal Valley. There's a lot of documentaries and stuff on it, but it's pretty.
Sebastian Younger,
yeah.
Great docs on those.
Yeah. That's exactly where I was. Restrepo. I spent
not cutting him off. If you haven't seen Restrepo,
yeah,
it's a must see. He's no longer alive, by the way.
Yeah, he passed away. He made The Perfect Storm, but that Restrepo documentary, and he wrote a book called War. But I replaced the 173rd Airborne, which that's what that documentary is about. So we were the unit, the 1st Infantry Division. We came in right after them, but there was more ordnance dropped, more bombs dropped in that little valley than the entire country of Afghanistan. And there was lots of combat. My battalion lost 20 soldiers. 2 of my soldiers were killed there when we were there. I was there a year. One of my soldiers got the Silver Star, Zachary Reese, one of my snipers. But anyway, it was a tough year. And once we got back, I was pinned on I was a captain whenever we got back from Afghanistan, and I became an instructor at Fort Benning at the infantry school for 2.5 years. And then Ashley, my wife, and I wanted to start a family. Ashley's from Grand Saline, just like you. We're in Grand Saline right now, but we moved back to Canton, and I started opening a bunch of businesses, and it's what I do today, just hustle and try to make a living. Yeah.
For those that don't know, a few of the items that he said in there, they're big deals. Getting in West Point, especially out of Zandt County, because you do need a politician's assistance. They had to write you a letter. It used to be a senator's letter, I think, back in my day, but you need there's some barriers of entry to get into West Point. You got to hit a lot of buckets, so kudos to you for that, because that's rarefied air. How many were in your graduating class?
799, I think, or I believe I was either ranked 799th out of like 830, or there were 799. Anyway, I was almost at the bottom of my class. However, I don't give a shit. I still graduated. And it was tough, man. I never really was the best at studying at Canton High School. So I was like Forrest Gump at West Point. Like my buddies tutored me and helped me get through it. But anyway, every congressman, like our congressman now is Lance Gooden, and he has 5 slots at any one time to have kids from his district at any of the service academies, like West Point, the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy. But he can have 5 kids there at once. Once one graduates, there's an open spot. And all it is you just have to apply to his office and go. You have to apply there and there's an interview, and there's like 50 kids trying to get that one spot. So they pick. Of course, you have to have the credentials for West Point to accept you, which is pretty high credentials. But anyway, once you get the it's called a nomination. Once you receive that, you're pretty much in. But Lance Gooden would be, if your kid wants to go to a service academy, like you have to start early, you have to make good grades, you have to play all the different sports, be involved in, Boy Scouts, Special Olympics, all this extracurricular stuff. But there's another level. Not only do you have to apply to the school, you got to apply to the congressional office. The senators also get 5, but you only have 2 senators in all the state of Texas. So the Lance Gooden's office would be the place to go for that. And anyway, somehow they accepted me, and I made it in. And
well, obviously you were deserving. I know you're being humble. Other items in there that are special are Ranger. You went to Ranger school. You got a Ranger tab.
Yeah.
They don't hand those things out, right? You've got to earn
No, so when I graduated from Ranger school, I was just as relieved and proud and happy as when I graduated from West Point. Like, I was so glad that was over. I lost over 20 pounds and had sores on my mouth from licking the MRE packages. Like, we have a box of letters, Ashley does, that I mailed home to her, and all of them, for the most part, are fantasies about food, because they don't let you eat, and it was tough. But I wouldn't have never traded that for the world. Like, that was pretty cool.
Well, much respect. I served as an MP at Fort Benning, which is where Ranger School is, and so we would see a lot of the Rangers. They carry themselves different. I went into the Army right out of high school, necessity, needed to. Needed a career, needed to get out of here. Socioeconomic thing, right? I needed to go. Always so much respect for special ops, and the Rangers were so prevalent in my life there. A lot of those guys had just gotten back from Mogadishu, Somalia. Yeah. So again, thanks for your service. I love your resume. And is that what led you to? You speak of Lance Gooden. Mm-hmm. You ran against him.
Yeah.
What year did you ran? You ran for U.S. Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just give us the quick version, like what was the impetus behind, hey, I need to do this? And tell us a little about the process, maybe the roughest part, and then how you did.
Yeah, so in 2017, around November, we found out that Jeb Henserling, who was our congressman at the time, was vacating his seat. He was going to retire. And so we had an open seat. And I didn't really think much of it. At the time in 2017, I had CrossFit Van Zandt, which is a small business in Canton. And I had already started roasting coffee beans in my kitchen in Canton, which would turn into Van Zandt coffee. But I'm also dealing with the VA. The VA is where I go get my health care. It's like where my doctor is. And it's a shit show. The VA does a lot of great things, and they do a lot of things poorly. And if you have anybody, our country doesn't do a very good job taking care of veterans, and I will say that. So in 2017, November, I got a call from one of my West Point classmates, Sam Brown. And Sam Brown went to Ranger School with me, went to Afghanistan with me, and he got blown up by an IED, and he got almost burned alive. So he's medically retired from the Army, so he's Captain Sam Brown, retired. Currently, he's the deputy chairman of the VA right now under Donald Trump. but he ran for office in Dallas for a state representative job, and he ran twice, I believe, and he didn't win. He was on the cover of GQ magazine in his uniform with his face burnt. And anyway, I have so much respect for Sam. So anyway, Sam called me and said, "Hey, Jeb Hinterling is retiring. I don't know if you know. I think you should run for Congress." And I said, "Well, I don't know the first thing of that, and I do have that like soft spot in my heart for like the veteran thing, and also at that time I was like, what the hell are we still doing in Afghanistan as a country?" But anyway, so I was like, "Sure, I'll run." He goes, "Great, I'll be your campaign manager." So I was like, "Well, surely, we're going to have a pretty good shot at this." So yeah, he came down here and managed my campaign. And the 5th Congressional District at the time was part of White Rock Lake in Dallas, Van Zandt County, Kaufman County, Rusk, Anderson County, and part of like Yantis, part of Rains County, Quitman. Like, it was a giant district, and there were 8 primary candidates, 8 Republicans running, and long story short, Lance Gooden ended up winning, but Bunny Pounds, who was Jeb Hinterling's campaign manager or whatever his like maybe second in command, she got second place and I got third. But those two made it to a runoff, and I think I was 2,000 votes away from her maybe. It was tough. So I do have a respect for anybody that runs for office, because like every night I was somewhere giving a speech, and I had like, strangers come up to me yelling at me about homeschool or like, any type of topic that one lady was like, "Hey, what do you think about eating horses?" And I was like, "Well, I've never eaten a horse, but I bet they're taste pretty good. Maybe." I don't know. But I didn't know she was pro eating horses, and anyway, she yelled at me for that. But what I found out in a conservative or in a Republican primary, it's who can be the most conservative, and I'm a conservative guy. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I'm against abortion, but in a conservative primary, everybody's competing on who's the most against abortion and who's the biggest Christian and who's the, things like that. And I wanted to talk about veterans, so I'd get up and talk about some of my issues with the VA and how I think that every veteran who has served in combat or who has honorably served should have a card from the VA, which we do, but you should be able to take that to any doctor that you please, and that card actually pays the doctor whatever their reasonable rate is. And instead, what we have now is all these enormous campuses across our country, and we have our care is abysmal. You have to wait on hold on the phone for hours. Hell, I did that yesterday. I waited on the phone for an hour, and the lady was rude to me. And anyway, I would much rather go to a doctor in Canton that I don't have anything wrong with me that's anything different than anybody else in America, other than, the things that are wrong with me happened because I was in Afghanistan, getting shot at and shooting people for a year. Anyway, when I wanted to talk about the VA, it was like, yeah, that's fine. But let's talk more about the abortion issue. And I was like, okay, what else do we need to cover on the abortion thing? And it was like, okay, I was like, I'm obviously against abortion. I think it's terrible, And then somebody else would say, well, I think that, anyone that ever had an abortion should go to hell. And then the next guy would say, oh, I want to go and kill all the abortion doctors and blow up the clinics. It got so far. And then I also learned about these political action committees, and it's not a big deal at local elections like this one going on now. But like in the United States Congress, Senate, and even the state representative races, these political action committees, they have an unlimited amount of money. And there's this West Texas group called Empower Texas that they have these conservative anti-abortion PACs, and like Bunny was sponsored by one, Lance was sponsored by a bunch of them, and they're giving them like millions of dollars. So I was a grassroots campaign just because I had no backing. Locally, we raised $65,000 for my campaign, and I spent every bit of it. I know my signs alone cost $20,000. I still remember that. I still have all my signs in my shop, by the way, if anybody wants one for, bar decoration or something. But it's a huge money. Like, politics is a big money thing, and in order to have a chance in hell of winning like a big race, it takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time. I never ran for politics, and I just kind of jumped in. Lance Gooden won, and Lance Gooden won because I believe he was the state representative for Henderson County. He had his name already, and he also had these contacts of political action committees and things of that nature. On the flip side, I also think Lance Gooden is probably a nice guy. I've met him a few times, had lunch with him, but he graduated from college and he went to work for the state representative of Henderson County or whatever, and then ended up running against her, and then eventually ran for Congress. But he's never been had a real job or a real business in East Texas, right? And at the time I was running, I had two businesses. I had employees locally, and I still do. But I think our politicians should live here and work here and know what it's like to open a small business and have to deal with all these regulations and the government fighting you every step of the way, and the taxes. You get taxed you taxed to death on everything, and then you're providing jobs for other local people. Like, if the small businesses go away, like, we're screwed as a country, because no one's going to be able to work anywhere. We're all going to be working for billionaires like Amazon or something, and it's going to be shitty. So anyway, that's my spill. I probably went way overboard on your
No, I love to hear everything you said. That's why I had you in here. It's funny you say that. We didn't discuss this before you got on. I love what you said about the VA. Monday will be 6 weeks that I've been post-op from a hernia repair, and a big hernia, so I had a big open procedure. But I had preferred status at the VA, and I went up, and they checked it out, and they put me on the surgery schedule. It was like 3 months out because they all used the robot. So they probably got one robot, right? And the hospital in Tyler probably has 3 in the hallway. So fortunately, I was able to use, geographical restriction stuff, and went to UT Tyler, and they got me in, did the surgery in a few weeks. It could be quicker. I was okay for the most part with the overall care, but I could imagine a older, less nimble person, someone that just can't up and go to Dallas for an appointment.
Yeah,
it could be problematic. It could be, but I like what you said. I have our family care doc or our family care medical provider is a nurse practitioner in Van, right? Where we go for basic stuff, meds, and I'm sick, or I would like to be able to just to have this universal VA card you're talking about that she takes. It's like anything else, right? It's if you're going to take insurance, you got to take the VA stuff.
Yeah, it would be a lot cheaper than what we're currently doing. And I think so. You were able to utilize the community care aspect of VA.
What is it? TRICARE? The TRICARE
Well,
portion?
TRICARE is what I had as a soldier. Like, that was my insurance. I don't have that now, but like, anytime I want to use community care, I have to go to the VA first in Dallas, and then they refer me. But they won't refer me right then. I got to wait at home for 6 months or 6 weeks. They'll finally call me. Like, and the other day, I thought I had a hernia as well. I went there, and they did a CT scan. Had to go to Dallas for that. And they, long story short, they say I need 12 weeks of physical therapy because I have a hip impingement. And I was like, okay, well, my hips never hurt, but okay, let's do it. Well, 6 weeks later, I thought they forgot about me. Some lady calls me from Emory and says, hey, I'm your physical therapist in Emory. I see you live in Canton. Why did they schedule you for Emory? I was like, I don't know. If I drive to Emory, where I go to the sale barn to sell my cows, if I have to go there, I might as well drive to Dallas.
Right.
So I was like, can you please tell them to give me a physical therapist in Canton? Anyway, so now we're...
How long did that take when they had to shuffle the deck chairs there? How long did it take to get a Canton referral?
They finally called me yesterday, and they said, what about the Mother Francis in Canton? I said, that's perfect.
Bingo, you're saving me here.
So now they called them, and they say, well, they will reach out to you. Still haven't reached out to me.
Yeah, the VA's always been a perplexing thing. And,
yeah.
And it's... I loved it when you said big, huge campus because, man, doesn't it seem like there's a ton of brick and mortar there that doesn't need to be there?
Yeah, and once again, I'm not 100% anti-VA. The VA does great work for people, but there needs to be a better way. With the card, and hell, it's just an insurance card essentially, but Veterans Administration, like I've been vetted, like give me that card. Let me make my appointments. Like I don't need this lady, that I wait on hold for to call for me. Like I can handle that. Let me just do it. And it's like the government wants to treat veterans like we're special needs or children. And I just don't think it's I don't know. I just don't. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, of all the government programs that we are trying to change or that politicians get up and scream about, vets should be at the top. I mean, that's the back. You and I have served. Obviously, we are on one side and we think a certain way about vets. But I think the public in general, if we took a poll, don't you think that they would say, hey, vets could be treated a lot better in this country?
Yeah, and absolutely. Not only treated better after some type of war or something, but before, like the decision to go to a war, and like in an Afghanistan case, we were there for 22 years. When we killed bin Laden in 2010 or 11, what did we do after that? And then we go and we leave in a way that's horrendous. It's embarrassing and disrespectful to soldiers, veterans, the Afghan people, and America just in the world. Our world standing looks like shit. And then I think about my 20 fellow Blue Spaders, which is my infantry battalion, that were killed in Afghanistan. And then so I have several friends, several West Point classmates that I lost there. They died in Afghanistan. Now we were there 22 years. We spent as a country, $4 trillion or whatever we spent there, and now we just up and leave. And the reason we didn't leave after we killed bin Laden was we were scared they were going to come back or whatever the case is. It's just like nobody wanted to make a call. Yeah, so I think veterans give service to the country, right? That's why they call it service, because it's like a crappy job, right? Just like a police officer or a firefighter. They could never get this respect they deserve, in my opinion. But we have to have leaders that, they're not going to send willy-nilly. You talking about Somalia a while ago with the Ranger Battalion that went out there. I watched a documentary on that the other day, but the Black Hawk Down thing. Like we sent soldiers, Clinton sent soldiers over there to bring food to Somalia. And then somehow it turned into like all the Somalians turned on the Americans. Like they were greeted at first. And this is kind of like our playbook. Like everywhere we go, we're greeted like warmly at first and then kind of overstay our welcome. And then it turns bad. But anyway, not to get bogged down on that, but if I ever were to run for office again, it would be in that case, right? Something I could affect veteran stuff. But as far as running for office, it's tough. You're going to face opposition. Any leader that's ever tries to lead anything is going to face opposition. And I think that's what we have going on here in Van Zandt County now. But it's a tough
nice
deal.
Segue there.
Yeah, it's a tough It's a tough deal to run for office.
So great segue into Van Zandt County politics. And you're a sharp guy. You probably know that's really the reason that I got you in here in the first place is to discuss this stuff.
Yeah.
But then when I started peeling back the layers of who you are, I'm like, no, let's get him in here and let's talk about the things you've done, which we have. But you're a business owner.
Yeah. So I started Van Zandt Coffee. Well, I had this business called CrossFit Van Zandt. When I got out of the Army, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And I knew I was good at physical fitness because I had to train my platoon every morning. So the first business I started was a CrossFit gym. And I would wake up at 4 a.m. every morning and start. My first class was at 5:15 in the morning. And I did this 5 days a week. 5:15 in the morning. And I would have black coffee on the coffee pot. And I'd drink coffee all morning while I was teaching class. And I wanted the coffee. I started out with Folgers, and it tasted bad. And then with CrossFit, we're anti-sugar. We don't like to put sweeteners. We don't j- eat junk food or anything. So we drink our coffee black. Folgers taste like cigarettes, and formaldehyde, cigarettes, whatever. It's bad coffee. It's good if it's the only thing you got. However, I started buying better and better coffee. Eventually, I went to Dallas, and I was like, "Where's the best coffee roastery in Dallas?" There's two places that are really good: Oak Cliff Coffee Roasters and Noble Coyote Coffee Roasters. Visited both, met the owners, and tried their coffee. Their coffee's fantastic. And I said, "How did you guys get started roasting coffee?" And I was just interested. I'm interested in so many things, and I could list. We don't have time to cover like everything I'm into, but like I don't want to have any regrets when I die about like things I didn't try. So like for some reason I was like, let me roast some coffee beans in my kitchen and I'll just brew it up here because I want to drink good coffee. And I started doing that. I used to live over by the country club in Canton. And so I did that. And then Brian Irwin, who owns Turf Pro, he was one of my clients, still a client there. He's like, let me buy a bag. So he bought the first bag of Van Zandt coffee that I roasted on my kitchen counter. And he still has the bag, his handwritten bag and everything. It's pretty cool. I'm trying to get it back from him. He won't let me have it.
Collector's item one
It's
day.
a collector's item. And
Something for your kids.
so I started selling like commercially in 2016. I bought a big roaster. We got in our Airstream and went to Idaho, and I took a roasting seminar. And I bought this giant roaster, giant to me at the time. Took a huge investment, took a loan out from the bank, and started like betting on myself. Like, I like this coffee. A lot of other people are going to like it too. And I was just selling it at my gym in Canton, right? And then fast forward to now, I opened another gym in Athens, like right on this side, and it had the perfect layout for a roastery. So I started roasting over there, and the roastery's still there. It's on this side of Athens. Um, but we supply like a lot of local businesses. Our biggest client right now is the Pony Espresso in Canton, which serves phenomenal coffee. But I just had this latte here is from them. They do a great job. They got a location in Canton and Wills Point. And then, we have Eleanor's and Kaufman. Right down the street here in Grand Saline, you can get our coffee at Bloom and Brew, which is a floral shop. Linda Monk, I believe Linda is the owner.
Yes.
And they have our coffee. But my job as a coffee roaster is to develop the best tasting coffee bean. Because I have people all the time, hey, do you have a hazelnut or do you have a Texas pecan? I say, no, ma'am, or no, sir. Like, I'm not going to flavor my coffee bean. Like, I'm making the best tasting coffee where that bean, all you have to do is add water, and that thing is the best tasting coffee you've ever had. And that's what I'll keep doing always. It's like a good bourbon, like a shitty bourbon. You pour a Coke in, you don't tell the difference, right? But a really sophisticated, good tasting bourbon, like you just put ice in there and you enjoy it, maybe. Anyway, so that was the coffee company, and I brought you. You don't like coffee, but I brought you some.
I don't think it's I don't like coffee. I don't drink it. I don't drink it. It's crazy. I just
Well, if you
really
don't,
never have. You got
so
any
if you
dog
liked
bones?
it, you would drink it. But you need to try.
Well, let's try some Van Zandt
You need to
coffee.
try Hondo Sidekick, which is our roast from Honduras, but it's our crowd favorite. And just just brew a pot and drink it black. And, there's 0 calories. It's just coffee and water.
Van Zandt County residents, you heard him say Pony Espresso. Let's frequent their place because they obviously support veteran-owned businesses, right? They know you're a vet. They
Yeah,
know
yeah.
your whole story.
Yeah, and and Grant Saline folks.
Who's the ownership?
Katie and Tony McFarland own Pony Espresso, and they're great people. And it's a good spot. They do a great job, and I never really wanted to open a coffee shop. I just want to be a roaster. So my job is to make the beans good. Their baristas make incredible drinks. If you like, sophisticated coffee drinks, they can do everything. And anyway, they just do a great job. But Van Zandt coffee, you can buy it on vanzandtcoffee.com. We ship it all over the world. And if you want to pick it up in Canton, you can order it. If you don't want to drive to Athens, you can order it. And my real estate office is downtown, across the street from Pony Espresso, right by Val's.
How convenient.
And you can pick up your coffee order there if you don't want to pay for shipping. But anyway, like, fast forward, I sold my CrossFit businesses, so I don't own them anymore. I still own the buildings, and this is kind of a good segue because when COVID happened, they shut both of my gyms down, and my wife and I, we still have like big loans on our businesses and stuff, and we're like, what are we gonna do? We have 2 locations. The government says we can't operate, even though we know now that being in good shape is like the biggest thing to protect you from a sickness like COVID. They shut me down. So when I got out of the Army in 2012 and started the CrossFit gyms, I started buying like rental properties. And my brother builds houses. My dad has developed subdivisions and things. He's kind of been hustling his whole life, really into real estate. So I said, what am I going to do if my gyms never come back? And I said, you know what? I'm going to get my real estate license. And I got online and got my real estate license in a couple of weeks during COVID. When I was doing nothing, I was working out at the house, filming it on YouTube and Facebook for my members who I lent out all of our equipment to take home during COVID. So they were doing the workouts at home, and we were all doing that. And
so wait a second.
Yeah.
You could come in if you were a client and borrow equipment and bring it back and forth.
No, before we just let them keep it until we came back. Everybody brought the stuff back.
And when you say shut down, did you push the limits and they came out and physically said, "Hey, you're out"?
It started out with like 2 weeks, right? Like 2 weeks, we're going to slow the spread, and hell, you didn't know what to believe. There were doctors and nurses saying it's a real thing. People are dying by the hundreds. And so I said, okay, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks. And then it was like, it never opened back up. I had a 6 a.m. class that was real tight, like Kenneth Pruitt. It was part of that class, and a bunch of people that are friends.
Strong-willed.
Yeah, strong-willed people. They met at like an RV park in Penny Wiggins. They met and worked out outside of the gym, right? So I contacted them. I said, look, I don't care. I'll keep the doors locked. Y'all just come to the gym and work out.
Right.
But one of the ladies said, thank you, Sam, but we don't want to get arrested. And, you had to do, I was a firefighter at Garland also when I was starting CrossFit. I did that for 4.5 years. And, you have to follow protocol. You lose your job, right? So nobody knew what was going on. And to be fair, the people that like want a Monday morning quarterback, the whole COVID reaction kind of pissed me off because at the time, like no one knew. And I have a few diehard friends that were like, yeah, hell no, I'm not taking the vaccine, and like yada, yada, yada. And I respect them for it. And I'm like, but me, I've had every vaccine, being in the Army and being deployed to Afghanistan. I've had every vaccine known to man. So I'm not scared of a vaccine. So the VA asked me, they're like, do you want the vaccine? And I said, is it free? And they said, yes. I said, well, give it to me. So I got the Johnson & Johnson, the one-time deal. Of course,
that's what I have.
I never went back when they were like, come get another booster, the 50th booster or whatever. By that time I sniffed a rat. I was like, no thanks. But you had that, and you got.
So my I didn't think I was going to be talking about this, but I want to just quickly.
Yeah.
Medical cells. I've been in medical cells for 20 plus years, and it requires at the technical level we accompany the surgeon and the staff into surgery, and we're there and we provide the instrumentation and some technical advice within reason. And so in order to get access to those places, they wanted us to get the vaccine. Again, like you, I had been vaccinated so much in the Army, deployed to Haiti. It really didn't bother us at a certain point, right? Getting shots were the least of our worries, right? We thought.
Yeah.
And so I pushed it to the limit, and the credentialing office at one of the facilities was like, hey, you can't come into surgery anymore until you get this done. You pushed it long enough. They didn't take a religious exemption. And frankly, it was too much money. I mean, commission was, I can't make it anywhere else, so I did it. And so people now are like, oh, well, you paid the price. Yeah. A couple months after I had the J&J, a few feet from here, thought I was having a massive heart attack. Went to the ER in Canton, and the doc's like, you should go play the lotto because you had a widowmaker clot. That's what the burning was. You got 20 clots in your lung. You're lucky. So I had made my wife and kids leave before when they dropped me off because I did think I was having a heart attack, right? And so I spent a little time in the room alone and said, thank you.
Yeah.
And got on blood thinner, was able to get the blood clots resolved, but I had something called Riger's, which is extreme shaking, which generally is associated with an infection. It's your body's way of staving off an infection. But I kept getting them, and I would get them even when I was trying to drive away in the car just to the gas station with my youngest child at the time. Scary shit. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
I'm prideful. I didn't want to get online and broadcast, hey, I'm going through it here. But there are ramifications for some people for taking the J&J. And so you had it, and you're fine. I actually offered a pharmacist $1,000 in cash to shoot it in the trash can. Turned me down. And I did offer him that.
Yeah.
I can say that honestly because all the medical reps were using a pharmacist in Dallas.
Uh-huh.
And I believe he got arrested. And I don't like to break the law, obviously, but obviously I had the right feeling that maybe something's not right with this thing. So I'd say 2 months after I had it is when I got slammed right in the chest. But I'm here. We're doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And I focused on what you and I touched on a little bit, the Van Zandt drama, the Van Zandt County drama, and how you found your way into the epicenter of it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how I came to see your name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just give you the comment, and then you backstory it, okay?
Okay.
The comment I saw on one of the local political pages, which has evidently been hacked, according to the admin. Someone said on there in the comments, Sam Deen and the DA worked together so he could get commission on a big real estate building. And I thought, what are they talking about? And then I talked with you about it yesterday on the phone, and that wasn't the case at all. Like, you were doing your job as a realtor. So you want to peel back the layers on that just quickly and touch it because you know some hater's going to watch the comments today.
Sure, yeah.
And say, Sam this, Sam that, but tell us what happened.
Okay. So, the Van Zandt Connect, I had Tonda Curry on my podcast. And
Van Zandt County DA.
Yeah, the Van Zandt County DA. And this is after we sold the building and everything. And someone had posted that podcast episode on the Van Zandt Connect page, and I got a lot of people attacking me anonymously on there and saying that I'm corrupt, that I somehow gave a kickback on the money that I made from doing my job to the county or Tonda Curry or something. And it's just not the case.
Because you had the building listed way before.
Yeah, I'm a real estate broker in Canton, and I sell a lot of stuff. I've known Paul Michael my whole life. He's a great guy, great businessman, straight
That's
shoot.
the owner of the building for those that
Yeah,
don't know,
the
right? He
Paul
owns this,
Michael Company.
owns this massive building. What was the sales price?
Well, $4.2 million, and so Paul Michael started in on a little booth in on First Monday grounds and grew into this massive success story. And he built this enormous, building, which is nice as hell, uh, on Highway 19, right across from Taco Bell and whatnot. But yeah, so he had it listed with some Dallas. A lot of people think that they should list their homes or businesses with these Dallas brokers because maybe they'll bring more Dallas people down here. So anyway, he had it listed with some big commercial real estate firm, and they had it listed for over a year, and I think their listing ran out, and he learned that I was a real estate broker. My mom, Lucia Deen, who's great, she's worked for Paul for over 20 years and does a lot of his floor design, like in his businesses. He still operates in Round Top, Texas, which is a version of First Monday outside of Houston that is more, I guess there's a lot more high-end stuff there. He has a big building down there. He used to have a building in Lafayette, all over the place. Anyway, he gave me the listing, gave me the chance to try to sell it, and we had a bunch of interested parties in the building. I had it listed over probably about a year, and then the county contacted me and said, hey, we're interested in the building. I was, okay, great. I showed them the building a few times. Went back and forth. The building was listed for $4.6 million, and they negotiated. Paul and the county, they did some negotiation, and anyway, landed on $4.2 million, and of course, $4.2 million sale. I was the real estate agent.
That's why they're big mad. That's why they're mad, right? The commission. That's why they're mad.
Yeah, I made 6%, which is normal. Like if you wanted to sell your house with me, I'd charge you 6%. And if a buyer's agent brings a buyer, then typically they get 3% of that 6%. But the county, didn't have an agent. I don't know how the county would have an agent, how they would pick an agent, because if the county would have. If an agent would have brought the county to the Paul Michael building, me being a local real estate broker there, I'd probably be like, well, how did they pick that agent out of all of us? Did they bid it out? What's the deal? But the fact of the matter is they negotiated a price with Paul, and they settled on $4.2 million. Paul was going to pay me 6% no matter what, right? So if they'd have negotiated, well, Sam, you need to give half your money back to the county, which that would effectively lowered the price of the sale. And Paul Michael's really happy with the job I did. He wrote me a nice review saying I was masterful in getting his building sold, and just, the way I handled all the parties. And that building, if you were to build that building now from scratch, we got a quote from Athens Steel, Mr. Brown that owns Athens Steel. He said that, I can't remember the final number, it was around $6.5 million to build that building now, if you were going to build it. The cost to build, and I don't care, the county wanted to buy the Paul Michael building. I think it was a good idea for the county, but depends on how they go forward with it. I live in Henderson County now because I bought a ranch in between here and Athens. I'm just over the county line, but I own a lot of property in Van Zandt County, and I pay a lot of property tax to Van Zandt County, a lot. And if you think that I would try to pay the county any more money than I already do, you don't know me very well. I pay them plenty of money, and I want them to use my money wisely. Our courthouse is in shambles, in my opinion. It needs to be restored. Someone, in my opinion, somebody's going to walk in there and sue the county because a piece of concrete is going to fall on somebody. So there's no doubt in my mind it needs to be restored. And, using that Paul Michael thing as an annex, it makes sense to me. I think someone told me we're going to get another court, so we're going to have another court than we have now, and the county owns several buildings. They own, like, the DA's office has a building. They got the courthouse, and they have that annex that the JPs are in, and they also have the place where you get your registration stickers and stuff. So in theory, they could sell those extra buildings, move everybody in that Paul Michael thing, and then remodel the courthouse, and then move everything but the courts back in the courthouse. The other thing you could do is bulldoze the courthouse and go buy some property and build a brand new courthouse. But you're talking about, I don't know, $300 million. I don't know what it would cost to build a new courthouse, but it wouldn't be cheap.
It wouldn't be 4.2.
No. Now, they're going to have to remodel Paul Michael and put some courtrooms in there, and that's not going to be cheap either. But what I think about is, like, I want the employees of Van Zandt County to have a safe place. All the courtrooms in the courthouse are very small. It's just not the safest deal for everybody. We need something bigger. Our county's growing. I don't want to spend any more money. I don't want my property taxes going up. Hell no. But I think that's the best. You know, I listened to the commissioner's court on their plan. That, to me, is a solid plan. You know, being a conservative, I don't want to spend any money, right? We should just stay where we're at. But I think that's going to set us up for lawsuits, and if we don't make a decision to do that. Now, I'm not in politics. Like, Tonda Curry never asked me for a kickback for this this money. I've already spent all the money that I got off the sale too, by the way.
Got that new ranch, he said.
Yeah, no, I've had that. But anyway, it's mine. I don't give it, you know, I know people are jealous about it, probably. Other realtors, maybe. That. Anyway, there's a lot of anonymous comments, and it was like, well, Sam should have, given half the money back to the county.
Yeah, like, I mean, on what basis?
I don't know. I did I worked very hard, and like, I do that for a living, right? So it's like, if you sell, so like, you're supposed to do, anyway, it's pretty dumb. But let me read you like some of the, had some comments here, and I can't pull it up now, but let's see. I had to show this to my son because my son's 12, and he has a little YouTube channel. He plays guitar, and he's just learning, and I'm a musician too, and we play together at these places. And I was like, man, if you put yourself online, like I do with my podcast, like I did that to myself, just like this show. People are not gonna like it, right? Not everybody's gonna love it.
No,
people are gonna comment, right? So I had to show him these comments because I was like, hey man, people are dogging me too. So you're gonna get some negative comments, and I always like looking at this. But we had some. Here it is. Here's some of my favorite ones.
I love the fact that you can laugh about it now, but good learning lesson for your son, right? You're like, look.
Yeah, and I'm a guy that, like, I want everybody to love me. I want everybody to like me. So I try to be kind. You know, I'm not perfect though. This anonymous participant said he is a nobody, and her reputation is still garbage. That, I guess, talking about Tonda Curry. Van Zandt needs a new face. You better believe Sam Deen is going to promote Tonda corruption. Where's my favorite one though? This
We're not even to the good one yet?
No. He ran for a government position back in 2016. He is a jerk.
That's all you got to do to be a jerk.
And then I saw that. He was not surprised he didn't get in. He is all in for Tonda. I would say that he is already lumped in a negative light. I hate that. I watched the kid grow up. I absolutely love his mom. So my mom got promoted in here, but I'm still a jerk. Politics, man, like, politics, people get crazy around politics, and
Nuts.
that's why they say don't talk about politics. If you're trying to end in business, like, don't talk about politics because you're going to piss some people off. Politics is tied to religion, and meaning, like, think about like the races now. Who running for office is not a preacher or a pastor at this point? Like, most people are like, well, I'm a pastor at so and so, and like outspoken, which is fine. But you're bound to upset somebody when you talk about politics if you're not, speaking exactly. And like here in Van Zandt, like, we're probably all Trump supporters. We're all Republicans at this point. We're all on the same team, supposedly.
No hate like Republican on Republican hate. I told you that the other day, right?
Yeah. So it's like, let's talk about like the DA thing, like Tonda Curry. Like, I know Tonda Curry, but I think any of the 3 DA or lawyers running for the DA would probably do a pretty good job. But like, she's never asked me for any money or anything. Like,
she didn't say, hey, take me to Dairy Palace with that commission money.
Yeah, buy me something. And I'd have said, hell no. Like, I already pay enough property tax. Take it out of that property tax. Right. Or when you do build a new courthouse, name it after me, please.
Right.
Or something like that. But all of these folks are calling for corruption with these government officials. I've never seen anything like, I know these people, like a lot of them, and they're not bringing home a lot of extra bacon outside of their jobs. They're just trying to do the right thing. And the reason I had Tonda on my podcast is because she was getting a lot of hate online, and she wasn't responding at all to it. And I had a theory that none of this was actually true. It was all kind of made up, like, political crap to try to turn people on her. So like, I was like, hey, will you come on and just kind of respond to some of this stuff? And who wants to be a DA? Nobody. You mean you want to be the person that prosecutes people in the county? Your friends and neighbors, you're the one that's going to put these people in jail. So if the DA puts you in jail, you hate her, you want to kill her. If you get found not guilty, you still want to kill her because she's ruined your life.
Drug you through the mud.
Right? And, oh yeah, if you're a family member of any of those 2 groups, you hate her because they try to do it to your brother, your dad, or whatever.
It's a no-win proposition.
It's I think in Batman, Commissioner Gordon is the DA. I know his name is Commissioner Gordon, but somebody's the DA in Batman. I can't remember. I think it's Two-Face or one of the characters, but he's the one that puts all the criminals away. So it's not an easy job. I wouldn't want to be the DA. So like, I respect her for that. I'm sure she's made mistakes. Who knows? But a lot of this stuff, like, people are saying she's corrupt. Well, where is the evidence? If you know she's corrupt, or if you know that she let off somebody, the whole thing about lets off these sex offenders. You think she likes sex offenders or whatever? If you have an issue, like, go to the police, press charges, and let's get something going. Call the FBI, call the Texas Rangers, whatever. But I think, John, the barbecue guy, who's probably a nice guy, he's got a personal axe to grind here. That's what it seems as an outsider reading this stuff. What is it? What was the first complaint he had against her? And I wonder what that is. Because every day it seems like there's something new. There's some new allegation against her. And to me, outsider looking in, it's like he's got a good Facebook following. Is he getting paid by Facebook? Probably at this point. Like, is he just trying to keep the algorithm going so he gets the money coming in? I don't know. But that might be his new business.
But I'll tell you the quickest way we could get the answer to that is he could come on the podcast, and I've
Yeah.
invited him, and I know he gets a lot of hate saying, "Hey, he blocked me" or whatever. I've posted videos that include him, not necessarily in the best light.
Yeah.
Also, not disparaging. He answered me and said he's too busy to come on now.
Yeah.
I told him to reconsider if he had time. So I think I'd like to get him on here. You're the first guest that, boom, I asked him, boom, here you are, less than 24 hours later. But my wish list on the interview right now is Tim McLamy,
Yeah.
the guy that wrote the letter publicly demanding Tonda's resignation, which we don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But I want him. I want the barbecue guy. Frankly, I used to want Julie, but I'm looking at the rebirth of her page that was hacked, and the new one, there's no followers. I think that it's lost its steam. I think the players in this drama right now are Tonda, Barbecue, Tim McLamy. But I wanted you on here because I know, after talking to you, that you had the building listed. It wasn't nefarious. They came to you. And it bothers me because of someone who's done the right thing their whole life, right? And you're not going to get on here and say that about yourself. I have literally never met you before today in person. But getting in West Point, big freaking deal. There were some safety checks there that they did on you that you passed, right? They do it to everyone.
Yeah.
Ranger school, very daunting. Way less than 1% of the population could even think about doing something like that. You served your country overseas. I just don't buy the fact that you would come here and shit it and throw it all away over $200 and something thousand in commission. Like,
if you have
building's probably going to sell inevitably. For those that don't know, we're in a hyper growth all down the 20 and 80 corridor here.
Yeah.
The building was going to sell eventually, right? But make no mistake, you're glad it sold, and he should be glad it sold. That's a big lift.
Yeah, if you want to sell your house or your business, like, contact me. I will sell it.
He obviously is effective. He's obviously was that your biggest commission to date?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I sold some houses that are over $1 million, but nothing ever that big.
That kind of sell makes you tingle in all the right places, right? I mean, really, you're like, this is a big one for me and the fam.
So when I started in the real estate business and got my license, and then I became a broker too, I feel like that sell legitimized. I don't know if that's the biggest sell ever in Van Zandt County, probably not, but one of the biggest, right?
Can one of the haters that do not like him get online and find out that was the biggest sell? We'll research it too. I want to know.
Yeah,
you should frame that.
Probably not. Yeah. You think you're supposed to be successful, right? But sometimes, they say about if you put a lobster in a bowl, or a crab in a bowl, the crab will escape. But if you put two in there, they won't escape because every time one is about to escape, the other one grabs them and pulls them back in.
I know you heard that in the Army because that's where I heard it in basic training.
Yeah, and this politics are nasty here. This election, we're all Republicans. I feel like we're trying to eat ourselves. People are attacking good people. Oh, you're for this person or you're for that person. Like I said, those three people running for DA, they'll probably all do a fine job. What I don't like is when people are making up maybe untrue things about somebody because they have a personal vendetta against that person. Once again, if it's true, let's hear about it. Let's see some facts. I think I love your show. I would love to have Barbecue and a Prayer. Big John. David Fox. Just going, back and forth. Because, we're all resident, we're all, Van Zandt County, people. Let's settle it,
The game room thing's perplexing because here's the thing. I don't feel obligated to say I unequivocally support Tonda or I unequivocally think she sucks. I don't have a side either way. I do have some things I don't agree with that she's done since I've taken note, engaging with Big John about prosecuting him and all that. No doubt she probably wished she could have that back.
Yeah,
I don't think you can judge her whole body of work on that though. Because
no.
Have you seen John in person ever?
No.
He
he's
looks to be a
big guy. So she shouldn't have said about the disability thing. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are disabled. You know, if you're disabled and you hear that, you're like, okay, not a fan. But also, whenever you film, you're a known, like, you know, gotcha, like a paparazzi almost. You come up and put people on the spot. Like, when you're a public official, like, you know, you have to handle that situation. Like, you're gonna get that tactfully, but at the same time, like, when you feel threatened, sometimes you snap back. And anybody that, you know, if somebody did that to me, you know, as cool as I think I am, you know, I don't know what I would snap back with if somebody put a camera to my face and was asking me stuff. But they knew what they were doing, you know. I don't know. She probably wishes she shouldn't have said that. But
I think she probably wishes she could have that back. But you know what is great about that is she's human.
Yeah.
And that's a high profile job, especially with all the hate. And I'm not in her defense at all. In fact, I think she could have handled probably some of the sex cases differently in that. But the body of work, are we safer in the county than we were before she arrived? I think I'd like to get her in here and have her present numbers.
Yeah.
And I get where she comes from. I mean, John, he came up on her. Julie came up on her. There's already, I mean, the tension. That wasn't a unique first-time event. The tension had been ratcheted, weeks before, and I think you could tell by the way she was looking out of the corner of her eye. She knew he was there, and she probably had played that over in her head a few times, and it came out differently. Probably came out for John too. I mean, John kind of sounded on there like, I'm going to call the FBI and I'll see.
Yeah, go to the FBI.
Yeah, and the FBI, and then her ADA gets in the middle, and that kind of rubbed. I'm like, look,
well,
I didn't think John was. I didn't think he was getting aggressive. I thought
unfortunately, this thing is getting so heated that I do have a worry that somebody's going to physically get hurt. Somebody's going to read something that somebody writes about a certain candidate, and someone with half a brain's going to read it and go physically hurt someone, whether it's a citizen or a public official. And I think that the guy that stood in probably was trying to protect, and not like in a cover-up conspiracy way, but physically
like a barrier between
because I don't know what kind of security they had at that event, if they were checking people for weapons or whatever. But a DA, I don't care who you are as a DA, you've got a target on your back. I would like to know this from John. What was the first thing, like, why are you so against Tonda? Like, what was the first, like, can we look at his page maybe and go back to his first, like, anti-Tonda Curry post and see, like, what started this? Because once again, like, I'll look at his page from time to time just to see, because it's entertaining. Frankly, it's entertaining, just like your show, man. Everybody here is kind of drawn to it because every day there's something new. Like now it's him and Greg Abbott, like they're at Disabilities Against Tonda Curry. And then
was that AI? That was AI, right?
That was, of course, that's AI.
No offense, John. You got your point across. I get it.
Yeah.
I'd be beating that drum too if I was him. But
sure,
some people aren't. Some people are not going to think that was AI. They're going to think that he's anointed by the Abbott man himself.
Yeah. Don't believe anything you see or read on the internet because most of it's fake. You're a master with AI, man. Those I want to get some of those framed just for. Hey, remember 2025 when the Van Zandt County politics was crazy and this shit was going down? Like,
well, David Fox.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, the big argument is David Fox owns game rooms.
Yes.
And some counties in Texas, they're deemed illegal. They've been deemed illegal in this county. I've tried to get David on here. We have mutual friends. Yeah. He's busy too. But the gist of what I think is going on, or what I understand, he's hired attorneys, right, to make sure he follows the letter of the law.
Sure.
So that he doesn't fall under the umbrella of the old machines. He has a new era of machine where maybe there's a skill play or whatever. But those that oppose Tonda, of all the things they hate about her, they scream the loudest about that she's getting money from David Fox. So the
For the
AI
game
program
rooms.
I made shows her accepting money and all
Yeah.
this stuff. Tonda, I really hope you laughed about those posters. David laughed and said he was getting it printed up and made in his office because it said sit and spin.
Yeah.
That's not the name of his casino. But
Yeah.
would you agree when we distill down the issues, that a lot of it, 99%, revolves around the game room?
Yeah.
And you keep saying, and I like it, what was the impetus of John not liking Tonda?
Yeah.
And I'll say it, like, until you come on here, John, and say otherwise, people think that because he was arrested in an adjacent county for having illegal game rooms, he lost his freedom, which, let's face it, that's a big deal. Lose your freedom to someone, I don't like you. And so now the narrative is that he's a changed man, right? And he's an advocate, a staunch advocate against the gambling. And so he's trying to help rid the county of these evil things, that whatever.
So,
But his opponents say he's just on a vindictive tour. What say you about it? I mean, you...
so are you saying that like Tonda, when she worked with Smith County, was maybe had something to do with putting him in prison or
I
back?
think she was on staff. I've never heard him tell me
Yeah.
where they cross-pollinated there. Like, was she the one working the case?
I would like to know that. I don't know. I have no idea. And, you know, John seems like a businessman.
He's not a stupid guy. I mean, that's why I
got
want
a
him on here.
got a huge following on Facebook. Probably getting paid by Meta, I would assume. I know people with
Couple grand a month?
with less followers that are getting paid. I'm not getting paid by Meta. I wish I was, but no one cares about what I say. Game rooms, like, I know what David Fox owns Fortune Club out there, and I know Chris Bullard has like Lucky's and like the venue in Wills Point, who, by the way, they donate a ton of money to charities and stuff.
Very involved in the community.
Game rooms aren't my thing. Like, I don't gamble because I always lose. Every time I ever gambled, I lost, and I'm too cheap. Like, I remember I went to the Mohegan Sun when I was in West Point. Me and my roommate Ben Johnson went to Mohegan Sun, and I remember I won $500, and I was sweating. I remember I almost sweat my entire shirt out, and I was scared. I had the 500 in my pocket, and I was scared walking the parking lot. I thought somebody was gonna like
hit you over the head with a pipe.
Yeah, somebody was gonna kill me and take my money. And my friend said, "Sam, shut up. Like, there's people walking around with 50 grand. You got $500. Nobody cares." And so I won. The first time I won $500, and I went back probably 10 times, you know, from when I was 22 years old to now, and I lost every single time. So now I don't even try. But if someone wants to gamble and they want to go to a local place that's a locally owned business, they have local employees, they pay local taxes, I think they should be able to go and not drive to Shreveport or Durant, Oklahoma, or whatever. So I'm not against the game rooms. Now, if they find out that they're someone said they have prostitutes there and you know, other nefarious drugs going on and stuff, well, like, if that's the case, that one should be shut down. But I don't think any of these places that we talked about have any of that stuff. You just have to visit one to find out. But like, if they try to shut all the game rooms down, what's next? Shutting all the bars down and all the cigarettes down, and like, let's do it
away with all of it.
Shut it all down.
It's temptation, right? Here's my thing about the game room.
Yeah.
I used to love the sports bet. I used to gamble a lot. Haven't done it in years because there's just too much sports stuff going on to make you question, hey, is this accurate or what? But I don't think that David's has prostitutes over there. I think he's a family guy and he's trying to run a business. We live in a country of laws. If he's adhering to the law of the land and the county at that time, or the state law, then there's no reason for us to be advocating, and I say us, the Van Zandt County citizen, no reason for us to be advocating to shut him down if he is adhering to the law, and Tonda indicates that he is. And if they aren't, somebody will make them answer for it one day.
Yeah,
right?
if you go there and you see something illegal, like call the police and like let them investigate and whatever
Anonymous poster number 5808
right.
on Van Zandt County Connect. I don't take you serious because I don't know who you are. And to me, that kind of the First
Right.
Amendment thing is thrown out when it's anonymous. To me, I'm like, you gotta
Yeah.
show who you are.
Yeah, if you have legitimate, a concern or whatever, then tell us. And the best way would be like John needs to be interviewed by you or me. John, I would love to have you on my podcast, which is not videoed. It's kind of uncomfortable. Some people are uncomfortable being on video.
Here's what I gave him the option.
Yeah.
You came in. I prefer to do them remotely, right? I can dial someone in with the software, and I said, John, here's the deal. Here's the real deal. And I said this to Julie and Tonda and Joe, the other DA candidate. I sent them all messages. Only John really responded. But if you go remote, the power of going remote, think about it. If you think that I get off the rails with my questions, you don't like my tone or texture, you can hang up.
Sure.
It's a safety net. It's different than coming in here.
Yeah.
Right? And I can set you up. It's not a setup. I try to present all my episodes as neutral as I can. Like, hey, I'm searching for the truth. Because just because you want to be a normal citizen and not cause a stink doesn't mean you shouldn't question the DA or vote for the one you want.
Oh, no doubt.
She may be doing a splendid job, but she may not be. And the only reason I don't know is I just started paying attention to what's going on.
Right.
And I'm 50 now. I'm going to have kids that are going to grow up in this county. I moved back here. I love Van Zandt County.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I love this drama too because it's giving me a glimpse into what goes on behind the scenes and who the most complainers are. And there's a lot of complaining going on. And I just wanted to clear up that you literally, you just fell into this thing and you got called about a building and next thing you know, you're corrupt, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not corrupt. But it's crazy. I want to know, so now John is going after David because he's got these game rooms, right? Just because David is supporting Tonda Curry, it's like now we're going after other people's businesses. And
it pisses him off because he's on record, right? Which you are allowed to donate.
Yeah.
To her campaign. He donated $5,000 last cycle, which is exactly counterintuitive to what they say he's doing also, which is paying her under the table. Yeah. So which one is it that you're pissed off about? Are you pissed off about the donation? Or are you pissed off about the cash under the table?
Right.
And I'm not saying that cash under the table isn't a possibility, but in this instance, I don't think Tonda is taking any money under the table.
Yeah. What about the gold? What's the thing with the gold bars? Because after everybody made those anonymous people made the comments on my deal, I said, "Oh yeah, Tonda Curry gave me all those gold bars too." Did you hear about the gold?
I've kind of heard of it.
Yeah.
I wish we could have someone that could come on here and tell us in depth what's going on with the gold, because I think it was a confiscation, right?
Yeah.
It would be no different than probably us confiscating a drug dealer's car, and they would then turn it into a cop car or something like that, right?
I guess.
What do you do with the gold?
I don't know where it went, but it didn't go to me. It was a joke that I made. But
we can make all the cops DA gold rim glasses. Gold's what, $4,500 an ounce right now.
It's a lot. I wish I'd have bought some gold, but I don't know how to buy it.
If Tonda had the gold right now, like people are kind of indicating, I don't think she'd be here arguing with Big John. I think she'd be.
Yeah.
I like to go to Isla Mujeres. She probably could afford a little better than that. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not siding with Tonda. I'm not saying she hasn't done everything like she should, but these are thankless positions, right? And these are elected positions. And what do you think a DA makes a year? $100,000 in this county?
Probably, I would say probably 80, 90 to 100,000, probably. Yeah.
What I would like to see, instead of all the generic comment, she's corrupt, she did this, she's corrupt, type up a letter with specifics and start a body of work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the sister of such and such whose rights were impinged upon.
Yes.
And if you start a body of work, right?
Yeah.
And it's over and over and over and you see a theme, then the smart people look at it and say, listen, we need to jump into this. But if you are posting privately or anonymously and say she's corrupt,
What
that's
proof?
why people are turned off by it. No one knows. Like, tell me, is she corrupt?
What,
I want to know.
What proof, man? And give us some evidence. And, you know, I'm not voting it. Once again, my homestead now is my ranch, so I'm in Henderson County. But if I was to vote, right now I'm probably voting for Tonda. Okay, just because I think she's never done. I don't know her to do anything wrong, and I hate that she's being attacked with some seemingly made up stuff. But if somebody were to show me, like, no, this is actually what I know, you know, some evidence, I'd vote for somebody else, you know. And I think if John and John's followers, like, they want a chance to beat her in this election, they need to come on a show like this one or my podcast and present their case.
How about both?
Yeah.
We'll flip a quarter. We'll do whichever one first. Yeah, as the thing is, if you have something with teeth, like I said, a body of work that says this is a behavior that she's done over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got up there in the debate and said, here are the stats. There's only so many cases done every month, blah, blah, blah. She counters with, the judges set the caseload, not the district attorney. We act accordingly or whatever. So I think that's what we need is a real gloves off debate where you and I could ask Tonda and the other candidates some questions like, is Tonda really sloughing here? Like, is she just, like, you give the stats that she's not doing any cases, but is she inserting herself in there and ensuring that that's happening? Like, is she slowing it to a glacial pace? And I don't know that the answer to that is yes. I don't know how we would find that out, but I don't think either of the other candidates have a chance. You know why? It's too late in the game for all this to start. There's two of them, right? If they really had a concerted effort, they could focus it on one candidate. And I didn't like the guy on there, the one who was ADA in Van Zandt County before. He just seemed like he was pissed. Now Joseph, I like Joseph's vibe. I like what he had to say. Articulate guy. But when I thought Van Zandt County, he said he's from Connecticut. He may have trouble getting elected here because, you know, there's a lot of local pride and stuff. But I think he'd probably do a good job. But here's the thing. People are going to shit all over you and me for suggesting that there's another option besides Tonda. And that's not what I'm saying. But the people will decide. But it's too late in the game.
Yeah.
She's an incumbent.
I don't care.
think it's over.
I don't care who anyone votes for. I just want people to vote. But, like, you need to have the facts. You can't rely on AI and what random people say online about someone because, you know, you can smear somebody all day. I mean, look at, you know, Trump and Biden and all those things. Like, people make up stuff constantly about both people. And
people are afraid to counter, right? Because especially here locally, they'll come, you did this, you did that. And I think that's why, honestly, I talked to Julie. I think Julie's a sweet person. I personally was not a fan of the anonymous posting. I think that was a lot of problem. But I also wasn't a fan of local guys coming on and telling the rest of us how it should go. If, you know, like, hey, start your own page, right? Someone hacked her.
Yeah, start your own page.
And you know the reason I got involved in it? I think I told you, and I told the viewers this in another video. I was talking to Joe Donaldson about interviewing him, and I got hacked on the same night and ended up in this group text of some of the biggest posters on that Van Zandt County page, and they made me walk the plank. I got asked by one of the females to denounce Tonda right then. Yeah. And I said, I have the messages, which I don't want to out who they were individually, because somewhere along the line, something has happened in their lives where they're pissed. They're upset.
Right.
They want retribution. And I can feel for that. I think maybe we need to redirect it. But the facts are the facts. And if you're going to go after somebody, you got to have facts. And so let me give you an example. My buddy's an attorney. He told me there's so many attorneys now. It's easier than ever to get a guy to take a defamation case for pro bono. Like people are suing anything. So you have to watch what you say. You have to watch what we say on here about John and those guys like that. But it's an interesting time in the county. Yeah. I predict on March 4th, which is the day after Election Day. All will be quiet. It'll be calm for a minute. People will settle in to accepting it.
Mm-hmm.
Joe and Barbecue Guy are still coming after her, no doubt. But there's no stakes in it after that. No one's going to care, right? Because as of right now, if you oppose her, there's still a chance she could not get elected. But after that passes, what are the stakes and where do people's interests go?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what happens after the election. But yeah, I get it. The anonymous, I think, one of the arguments for the anonymous post is like if someone may lose their job over something they may bring up or whatever, it's kind of like a whistleblower type thing, but it was just pure comedy and pure entertainment for most of the county looking at it. None of it had any teeth. Because if it did, stand behind it. And
I think it was 13,500 strong when she was hacked. Now, she's saying David Fox did it so he could shut down the anonymous posters. But where's the malicious intent? Like, where's the list of – because if you have access to admin of your page, you can see who the anonymous posters are.
Right.
That would have been the first thing I thought.
People try to hack my stuff all the time, and I think they're from maybe Nigeria or China or something.
You know how you get hacked? Is it how I got hacked recently? Community Wi-Fi at UT Health. Somebody got on my phone, and then you come here, and you get on your home Wi-Fi, and it infects, and that's how it happened. I actually saw the phone number someone had put in two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
And so if I would have hit send it would have went to – so I called the number. Some chick answered. I Googled the number. I was able to backdoor it by looking in Cash App. She was like in Forney, and I called her and she cussed me out and said, that she had been hacked. So I don't know what the deal is, but the page has been hacked.
I doubt David Fox hacked that page, even though he joked and said, and I know David asked him to be on my podcast, and he said he would, but he hadn't done it yet.
He's a slippery fox. He doesn't want to come
but
on
the funny thing is his actions against John, and then John's actions against him with John's post with the actual Fox on his AI things, and I think you've on some of your episodes you've highlighted that. But
that lets me know John can give as good as he gets. That's why I want to get them in the same room. Look, you and I aren't small. We could probably keep them separated if we could get them in the same room. And
I don't think hopefully no one would come to blows or anything like that. It's words and emotions. But man, it would be, you could sell tickets to that thing.
And here's the thing, when I tell John to come on, I'll give you the questions. I'll give both of you the questions up front, debate questions. It'll be just topics, 2 or 3 word topics. You'll each have a few minutes to talk about it, and then you can go at each other a little bit. And if people will be like, he doesn't have to do that, he doesn't have to come on, what's the difference in all the Facebook posts? Because to me, public speaking separates you from the rest of the pack. If he can get on here and publicly speak and say all the things and issues he has wrong with Tonda, people are going to buy in. But also they have to have some accuracy, because I've consulted an attorney, and he told me there was no HIPAA violation in that video because Tonda doesn't work for a medical provider. She doesn't in charge of safeguarding it. And because she didn't keep him out, there's no Disability Act. But it doesn't look good bringing it up. But there'll be no charges. He may sue her. He may be able to sue her. But you got to put up a protracted fight to win a civil lawsuit against a public official, I would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I don't think they're going to do any of that stuff. But going back to my point, if Joe's really, or John, if John really wants to win or wants Tonda to lose this election, like, he needs to come on and publicly talk and defend his accusations.
And what's the flag they wave in NASCAR for the last lap? The white, is it? What color is it?
It's yellow, isn't it?
Sorry, I don't follow NASCAR.
Isn't it yellow flag?
You're in the last lap, John. If he's
maybe
really
green.
wanting to affect change in the county and get his candidate elected, you've got to get on the bullhorn. You got to get, because and are your followers registered? And
Tonda did my podcast, and she addressed some of those accusations. Right, I didn't throw anything hardball at her, right? Because I don't know anything to ask her as far as allegations go, but you know, like we're going to be nice to anybody that comes on, like whether it's David Fox or John, Barbecue Man. I'm not going to have Joe Donaldson on my podcast. I mean, is he going to come on this show?
He's not going to come on mine. Probably he's turned it
Yeah.
down. I've asked him to, and I know that would be polarizing because I know he's talked about tornadoes and stuff hitting Canton.
Yeah, the alcohol tornado. Wasn't he the one that's talked about that just because we went, the county went wet where we could sell beer and wine, that the tornado hit us because of that? Or
If he said that, I'm a late entry into the whole drama situation, and you can tell I genuinely am because no one else was doing
Yeah.
a show before it. I don't know. I'd like to ask Joe, like,
if it was,
you need to tell me what all you did, Joe, before you do the podcast. Before
well, I don't know if that was Joe.
let's research that.
I don't know if that was Joe, but like if it was a true alcohol tornado, it would have hit my refrigerator directly. Yeah.
It would have hit the VFW in Grand Saline a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, hey, going back up to the game room stuff. This is what I know about game rooms, other than the things I talked about earlier. I know the ones in Wills Point, or the venue in Wills Point, I've seen them give directly to a lot of charities. But I'm a member of the Athens VFW, and they have like 5 or 6 game I don't know what you call them, machines in there. And I think it is
sit and spin.
It's helping the Athens VFW stay open. And that's all I'll say. Like, it generates good revenue for the business or the organization, and Athens VFW does a lot of good things for veterans as well.
And what's the difference in you and I showing up and we're like, hey, let's play pool, it's $20 a stick, and we gamble, put $20 in the slot machine, let the house take a little bit of money to keep the lights on so we can come congregate or whatever.
And if David Fox wants to get me in his game room, he just needs to have a good shuffleboard in there.
Shuffleboard.
And I'll go play. And
well, we need an invite, like roll the red carpet out. He has a political event tonight, a voter registration, 3 to 6.
Yeah.
Hope you don't get snowed out. By the time I
Los
put this
Hermanos.
on, it'll be it's Friday.
Los Hermanos has really good chicken wings. I know I talk about that all the time, but it's better than the Mexican food. Anyway.
I think what we'll do is we've got a lot. We've been on a minute. Let's make this a regular thing, and we'll keep up with. Next time, maybe we won't have to talk about politics. I want to talk about where Van Zandt Coffee's headed, and where all you're at, and just the overall thing. But we're focused on the Van Zandt County stuff today. But I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think we'll maybe even podcast together and bring someone on one day.
Sure. Yeah, and hopefully I can get the MP3 from this and put it on my show. But yeah, no, I've enjoyed it.
I want to thank you for your time. And listen, as a fellow Army guy, I always have the respect for the Ranger tab guys that were at Fort Benning that I saw forever.
Yeah.
A lot of respect for those that went to Afghanistan. The guy I joined out of high school with here spent some time in Afghanistan. Shout out D-Fur. Joined with another guy here. 3 of us went in together, conquered the world, and I ended up in Georgia. Craig ended up in Alaska, and Derek ended up in Germany, and we all got out separately. But he went to Afghanistan. So much respect for you, the special ops community, and all that you also do. I know stuff you do behind the scenes, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on here.
And anytime, and like, I love Van Zandt County, and I obviously had a business called CrossFit Van Zandt. I have a Van Zandt Coffee, and I love living here, and I want it to be a good place to live. And like, I want these elections to be fair, and I want people to challenge our politicians. Like, they need to be challenged, but they need to be challenged with like legitimate challenges and not like made up stuff, personal vendetta type stuff.
Daily allegations, especially when they're false, they're no good for anybody. I have an 11-year-old and 10-year-old daughters. We have, my wife and I, still at home. I'm doing this because of them, right? I want the county to be at cruising altitude, and I feel like right now everyone's fighting.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great people here, and I give most people the benefit of the doubt, man. Like, even John, like barbecue guy, like he's got a lot of haters. He's got a lot of followers, and I'm sure he's a good guy. Like if you were one-on-one with him, he's probably a nice, really nice guy. But like
he's been hurt in some way.
He's been hurt, and he's out for blood, and you can tell. And we just need some more information. We need more information. We need some concrete evidence, and
we'll end it on this. Here's what I would like to ask John. And I would like to ask John, if someone else was sitting in that DA's office, another person, and the game rooms were still open, would the fervor be at the level it's at now? The amount of pissed off he is. Would it be? Is it the game rooms, or is it Tonda? And I think it'd be perfectly acceptable if it was Tonda, if you're still doing the right thing and you're trying to get them shut down. But I want to peel back the layers of John, like everyone else. Like he's an enigma, which is going to fill in more to his whole. He's almost got a messiah type relationship with a lot of his followers. I mean, no matter what he does now, he can do no wrong because he did it because of that.
Yeah,
and that's okay to have followers.
And I will give him credit, like on the Grand Saline Reservoir fight. You know, like he kind of stepped in that deal, and from my understanding, I don't know a lot about it. From my understanding, though, is that thing's not going to happen now, and a lot of the landowners, where they, you know, they were going to have their land taken by eminent domain. They're very happy with him, right?
I know some of those landowners, and I haven't discussed it intimately with them because I want them to come on here and I want to have an authentic reaction. But I'm being told that John is someone that they hold pretty high regard because he stood up and fought for them, and maybe was able to find out some things for them they didn't even know and use as so. Let's see. Yeah, we'll work it. If you get John on, I can't wait to hear it. If I get John on,
sure.
I know you can't wait. John, you should feel super important now because we've asked like 10 times this episode. But it was an honor to meet you.
Yeah.
Hopefully we do it again soon.
Yeah. Anytime you want me on here, man, I'll come.
I'm going to put a link to Van Zandt Coffee. If you're going to support a business for a guy who's done a lot for the country. I'll say it. You won't say it. Done a lot for the country and been places and done hard shit that you can't even imagine. Thanks for watching the Alexander Hour. I'm Sam Deen.
Yeah.